After Saudi Arabia's deadly overnight air raids on Yemeni cities, are the Houthis now breathing fire back with a fierce and immediate retaliatory response? Is this Red Sea conflict now spiraling into a full-blown war, as the Houthis strike directly at Saudi Arabia's oil heartland while MBS hits back with force? Have the Houthis now vowed further revenge after Saudi strikes reportedly killed several of their own missile experts deep inside Yemen? The Houthis claimed responsibility for carrying out strikes on Saudi Arabia's Aramco facilities located in both Jizan and Yanbu on July 25. This Iran-backed group stated that it used a combination of ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and armed drones to carry out this coordinated attack. Houthi spokesman Yahya Saree specifically described these two strikes as sensitive operations, targeting critical Saudi infrastructure. The group stated clearly that these strikes were carried out in direct retaliation for Saudi air raids conducted inside Yemeni territory.
In its continued siege of the Yemeni people, and in yet another violation of the sovereignty of the Republic of Yemen, the Saudi enemy regime launched a series of unjust and criminal airstrikes last night on the city and port of Hodeidah and Kamaran Island. These airstrikes resulted in material and incorporeal damage, and air defenses engaged a formation of enemy aircraft after they violated Yemeni airspace, preventing them from committing further crimes against this great nation. In response to this blatant and criminal aggression, the Yemeni armed forces carried out two qualitative military operations. The first targeted sensitive Aramco-affiliated facilities in Jizan with dozens of ballistic missiles and drones. And the second operation targeted sensitive Aramco-affiliated facilities in Yanbu with a number of ballistic and cruise missiles and drones. Both operations successfully achieved their objectives, thanks to Allah Almighty, with accurate and direct strikes. This escalation of aggression confirms the Saudi enemy's determination to continue its siege of our people and its violation of our country's sovereignty. This is unacceptable, and our free, faithful, and valiant people will confront it with unwavering resolve and strength. We in the Yemeni armed forces, relying on Allah, are committed to fulfilling our duty of honorable and responsible defense of our beloved country and our noble people, the people of faith and wisdom, the people of Islam and Arabism. This criminal enemy will find nothing from us but resistance and confrontation from our righteous position, while it stands on the side of falsehood. Indeed, falsehood is ever bound to perish. We affirm that the naval blockade imposed on the Saudi enemy remains in effect in response to its aggression, and its unjust blockade that has persisted for 12 years. We will not hesitate to expand our operations and escalate our actions based on developments in the coming hours and days, within the equation of blockade for a blockade and an escalation for an escalation.
The Houthi-led government also separately condemned the Saudi strikes and issued its own explicit warning of further escalation to come. The Saudi-led coalition launched airstrikes on Houthi positions in Hodeidah on July 24th. Riyadh said the operation targeted facilities used to threaten commercial shipping in the Red Sea. Saudi officials confirmed the vessel NCC Marsa sustained minor hull damage during the latest attack. The incident came just 4 days after the Houthis announced a naval blockade on Saudi-linked shipping. The coalition described the strikes as a proportionate military response to recent Houthi attacks. Houthi-linked Al Jazeera TV reported that Saudi airstrikes hit state telecommunications facilities in Hodeidah. The broadcaster also claimed Saudi aircraft targeted Kamaran Island off Yemen's western coast. Saudi officials insisted that Hodeidah port itself was not among the targets. Riyadh said the ports of Hodeidah, Ras Issa, and Salif remain open to commercial shipping. The Houthi-run foreign ministry called the strikes the beginning of an escalation for escalation phase. Yemen's foreign ministry said, and I quote, "The Saudi regime bears the consequences for any developments that will occur as a result of its criminal step." Instead of complying with the rightful and just demand to lift the blockade on Yemen, the Saudi regime has committed a major folly that will cost it dearly. By targeting Al-Hodeidah Governorate, the equation of escalation with escalation will be the title of the next phase, unquote. The Houthis blamed Saudi Arabia for any consequences arising from the latest military operation. The renewed fighting follows the Houthis' declaration of a naval blockade targeting Saudi-linked shipping. According to Al Jazeera, Saudi airstrikes hit Houthi reinforcements positioned in both Marib and Al-Jawf on that same day, July 25th. Yemen TV reported that these strikes specifically targeted missile launchers, Katyusha rocket bases, and several weapons depots across the region. The report further stated that several Houthi members were killed in these strikes, including a number of the group's own missile experts. New reports claim Iran secretly dispatched IRGC commanders, military advisors, and advanced weapons to Yemen. According to Reuters, 4 separate sources said the transfer took place on July 13. The aircraft reportedly departed Tehran for Sana'a before diverting to Hodeidah. Sources claim between 10 and 21 IRGC personnel, including senior commanders, were aboard. The reported mission was allegedly intended to train Houthi fighters on new missile systems. Analysts say the cargo also included components for short and medium-range missiles and drones. Another verified source claims the aircraft also carried gold to finance Houthi military operations. Iran has not publicly addressed or verified the reported deployment. However, Tehran has repeatedly denied supplying the Houthis with advanced missile capabilities. Meanwhile, senior Houthi official Abdel Rahman al-Anomi dismissed the reports as lies and fabrications. Only days after the reported deployment, the Houthis announced a naval blockade targeting Saudi-linked shipping. The group later claimed responsibility for attacks on 2 Saudi oil tankers in the Red Sea on July 23. The Houthis insisted those vessels had violated what they described as a naval blockade imposed by their movement.
The Yemeni armed forces carried out a coalitive military operation targeting 2 Saudi oil tankers that violated the blockade imposed by the armed forces in the Red Sea. One tanker was named in Celia and the other is Layla, and the operation was carried out by a number of ballistic and cruise missiles, as well as drones. The strikes were precise thanks to Allah's grace and assistance, and resulted in a large fire broke out on both vessels. In the same context, the Yemeni armed forces forced approximately 10 ships to retreat and return. The armed forces will continue their naval operations against the Saudi enemy and will persist in enforcing the siege for a siege equation. We affirm to the Saudi enemy that any follow aggression targeting our country will be met with large-scale operations deep within its territory, and the consequences will be dire for it by Allah's will and power.
The latest actions mark a sharp escalation after years of relative calm between Saudi Arabia and the Houthis. The blockade has renewed fears over global energy supplies and maritime security across the Red Sea. On July 23, Donald Trump warned that Iran would be held directly responsible for any future Houthi attacks. Donald Trump issued a direct warning to Iran as fresh Houthi strikes threatened to open an entirely new front in an already sprawling Middle East conflict. On July 23, Trump stated clearly that the United States will hold Iran directly responsible for any future attacks carried out by Houthi forces going forward. Describing the Houthis explicitly as an Iranian proxy force, the president promised that any further attacks would trigger major and severe military punishment. Trump said, and I quote, "A year ago the United States of America attacked, very powerfully, the Houthis, for their interference with commerce and trade, by shooting at ships. Since that time, and during our conflict with Iran, they have acted very responsibly. Unfortunately, now they are starting up again, shooting at 2 Saudi Arabian ships last night. Please let this truth serve to represent that if they do this again, the US will hold Iran responsible, in that the Houthis are a surrogate and or proxy of Iran. And major military punishment will be inflicted upon Iran, and of course the Houthis themselves, who I am very disappointed with in that they have, until now, acted very professionally and smart." Unquote. This stark warning followed direct Houthi claims of carrying out strikes on 2 separate Saudi oil tankers navigating through the Red Sea. On July 22, the Houthis stated that the tankers in Celia and Layla were specifically targeted for breaking their self-declared naval blockade in the region. According to multiple reports, this attack would mark the very first strike since the Houthis originally announced their naval blockade against Saudi Arabia. Saudi state media outlet SPA reported that a fire broke out aboard the tanker in Celia, immediately following the reported attack in the Red Sea. Saudi authorities confirmed that all crew members aboard the vessel remained safe, even though the ship itself sustained notable damage in the attack. Trump's latest warning arrives at a moment when the United States and Riyadh are actively strengthening their broader relationship through a new nuclear cooperation agreement.